hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Dan, your friendly fishmonger at dansfish.com, and we do this every Wednesday, usually at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's 9 Eastern for those that are mountain challenged. Just a tiny bit later tonight because got everything up and running, and then had to restart the computer. There's a little glitch, and first go-to when there's a glitch is restart the computer. That usually fixes things. And lo and behold, it did. So I'm here, couple minutes late, but almost on time. Haven't quite figured out exactly the settings for this new setup yet. Got a little more green on my on my head than I still want, but I've been working with that. I think it's getting a little bit better every week, hopefully. But who cares? We're going to get into it. We're going to start with our shipping report. We have an awesome giveaway for you. And I'm going to tell you about my trip to Coast, to the fish club in Southern California that I spoke at this weekend. It was amazing. It was so awesome to meet a lot of you there. Let me fix my framing up just a little bit here. There we go. And yeah, then we'll get to your questions and comments and generally geek out about aquariums and aquarium fish. So that is the docket for today. So let's start with our shipping report. Our shipping report is that since I last talked to you, there has been one fish, as reported by our customers a little earlier this afternoon, that had a problem. That was one black Venezuelan cory. Everything else that we've sent out has arrived in good shape, according to the report I had just a little while ago this afternoon. So that is pretty good. That is almost 100% success. And that's out of a lot of fish. So that's going to help us get closer to our goal of 99% success rate for the last 12 months. I didn't crunch those numbers, but I know we've gone up because just one loss is really good on a percentage basis. Now, it's no good for the customer, right? They still feel it, but when we look at the statistics, that's amazing. So I'm really proud of my team, doing a great job, getting it all done right. Just good job, guys. Really appreciate you. I have great people. They're fish people. They want to see the changes happen that we're trying to make in the fish industry, and they're working really hard to make it happen. And I have to say, they're pretty amazing. It doesn't get much better than what we got. So cheers, good job. Grateful for all of you if you're watching. Okay, that's the shipping report. Short and sweet, pretty darn good. Now for the giveaway, and I have to go to Nightbot and set it up because I had to restart the computer and I lost it. So this will take about 10 seconds is all. Nightbot's pretty darn quick because we have it pretty well set up. Okay. So the giveaway for today is a few of these little wet pets. These are the polar blue parrot cichlid. It's a cross between, what is it a cross of? Fish type? I know it's a convict. Oh, a blood parrot with a convict. Maybe. Is that true? Convicts and female blood parrots. Okay, I mean, just from a quick look, see that appears to be true. But what I like about them is a couple things. First of all, they're little weirdos. Like okay, they're totally artificial fish. If you're not into hybrids, I get it. A lot of people aren't. I like parrot cichlids, except for the fact that they're so deformed that their mouth doesn't work properly. Like look at this. What a blood parrot cichlid looks like with its mouth. So their mouths are so strange that they don't really close. Like that's as closed as it gets right there. They can't close it any more than that because of that shape. So I don't like that. That feels like, I mean, I'm not saying that it's cruel. I'm not saying that you shouldn't keep them or anything like that. I don't have, you know, a horse in that race. But I got to fix something over here real quick. It's not quite big enough. There, I think that fixed it. Why do I have that weird red line down there? Huh. Oh, now it's gone. Okay, I'll figure that out another time. But what I like about the polar blue parrot cichlid is its mouth is fully functional. These guys have a mouth that can close. They can use it like a normal fish uses their mouth. So that I like, the fact that it just has a fully functional mouth. Besides that, I would say that their temperament's about the same as a parrot cichlid. They're assertive enough, they can hold their own, but they're not like super, super hyper aggressive like some cichlids can be. They don't get too big. I'm gonna say 4 or 5 inches maybe on these. So, you know, you can't put them in a 10-gallon, but a 5-inch wet pet is not unmanageable by any means. They're eating everything. They're not picky. They're very hardy. They have hybrid vigor. And I think they're a personable wet pet of a manageable size. That's my take on them. Now, they're not for everyone. These are not going to go in your community tank with your peaceful little, you know, rasboras or whatever, because they'll see those as a snack for sure. Oh, I see what it is. I'm floating a little too high right there. That's what it is. Hang on, let me take me down. Oops. Well, it's live, folks. What can I say? Okay, I'll take that down just a little bit. Okay, that's a little better. There we go. Now I don't have that weirdness underneath me. Anyways, I think they're a good wet pet. I think they're a fun kind of weirdo fish. It's still cute. I don't know, like the French bulldogs of fish, but they function better than a French bulldog. Something like that. And so they're not for everybody. I get that. But if you have a big enough tank and you think you would like a few of these, then enter hashtag Parrot. That's hashtag Parrot. No spaces, caps don't matter in the chat. And you'll be entered to win some of these. Little kind of wet pets is how I think of them. A lot of people know the blood parrots. A lot of people know the platinum parrots. I think the polar blue parrots are a little more recent and maybe not as well known. So that's the giveaway. Easy fish, not for everybody. And that's great. I don't expect these to be for everybody. But I think they're fun. Bill Meyer, my convicts are about 5.5 tall and 6 inches long. Okay, maybe a massive one could grow to 6 inches then on these, but yeah, maybe something like that. Call it 5 to 6 instead of 4 to 5 to be safe. Yeah, that's fair. Now let me tell you about Los Angeles. My trip there, that was really fun. Pull up a couple things here for those that are wondering what's going on. I'm just pulling something up. Okay. So I flew over to Southern California, my old stomping grounds for this. This is the Coast Fish Club in Southern California. And I went there and I gave a presentation this last Sunday on, well, if you know me, you can probably guess what it was on. It was on shipping fish, which I know seems like kind of a dry topic, but I think we had fun. I think it was delivered in a way that maybe wasn't boring. And that was the goal. Like, how do you take a dry topic, a technical topic like shipping fish and make it fun? And I think we did that. We had a good turnout, and it was so fun to go back. A lot of old friends there. I went to school in Southern California. I got my associate's, my bachelor's, and my master's degree from different schools down in Southern California. And it was great to see some folks down there. John Neiman's was there. He has a fish hatchery that he runs, mostly cichlids, but a lot of other stuff as well. And I used to go to his house every week or two, buy fish, take them home to UC Santa Barbara, where I was at university at the time, and resell them on Aquabid. And that's part of how I paid for college. And John was a mentor, a mensch, an old friend, and it was just great to see him and go visit the hatchery again. And I got a pretty good video of it. We didn't do the whole hatchery because it's massive, but we got some pretty good footage. The thing that John does that I think most fish breeders forget to do is he leaves plenty of tanks open for rearing and grow out. So he's able to produce lots and lots of babies and grow them up to sellable size. I think your average fish hobbyist who wants to breed for profit or wants to breed and get a little income and has kind of dreams of doing that, I think where they go wrong is they get collectoritis, and instead of leaving tanks open for grow outs and broodstock and such, they see cool fish and they're like, oh, I have to get that now. That might not be available again. And we played the musical fish game in our heads, right? And we're like, well, I could move this here and I could try that here, and that wouldn't be optimal, but it's worth it for this fish. And eventually we have a collection of amazing fish and nowhere to breed them and nowhere to raise the babies, right? I think that's a path a lot of us go down. I've gone down that path for sure. And so John is very disciplined in not doing that. And because of that, he's able to raise tons of fish. So I can't wait to show you folks that video because I think he's an impressive guy that does an impressive job. I was able to see Ron Harlan down there. Ron was in Sandy Binder, both really active in the Southern California Killie Club. I used to spend a lot of time at Ron's house, a fair bit amount of time at Sandy's house too. Just hanging out, learning about killifish, going to his little fish shed, checking all the new fish out. And Ron, by trade, he's got a PhD in, I think it's biology. I don't know the specific thing, the specific area of biology. But at the college he taught at, he had a whole bunch of aquariums set up, and students would take care of them, and he would use the aquariums to teach principles of biology and chemistry. And so I learned a lot about water and water parameters and water chemistry from Ron Harlan. That's kind of a niche he does. In fact, for a long time, he was selling equipment to kind of treat your water and change the parameters, RO, DI units, that kind of thing. So it's great to see you again, Ron, if you're listening. And several other folks too. Lots of folks that I was able to see after a long absence. So it was kind of like a homecoming. It was kind of like a happy reunion. And it was really cool to meet folks there that participate on YouTube. Several folks were wearing Dance Fish merch, so it felt like our people were there. And it was a great event. While I was there, Ross Freeman hosted me, and I told him before I went down, I was like, I don't want to be sitting in the hotel, bored. Let's be active. Let's do things. And he made that happen. I flew in on Friday night, and we immediately went and visited that evening, I think 3 fish rooms, including Scotty's fish room. And I got an amazing video of Scotty's fish room. Scotty right now has several hundred Kalitawa that he's raising up, which I'm very excited about. He has a lot of Limia perugiae, or perugiae, however you want to say it, which is another one I really like, along with several other things. But it was so beautiful to see someone who was taking the Melanotania Kalitawa and breeding it in enough numbers to really start distributing it out in the hobby. So good job, Scotty. And I know you're a little under the weather now, so I hope you're doing okay. Hope you're recovering. Scotty the Fish Freak, another Scotty with Limia perugiae? There's more than one Scott, believe it or not, there is. So that was really cool to see that. And then went to a couple other fish rooms as well, and there were highlights there too, but I could get lost in them. I mentioned Scotty's most because that's the one we got the video of that you guys will be seeing. Then the next day, we drove up to John Neiman's fish hatchery, like I told you about, got video, got to see all the changes that have been made in the last, I haven't been there in like 15 years. So it was really cool to see all the new things that were going on there. After that, we went on a pet store tour. So I think we went to 3 or 4 different pet stores. And we went to one wholesaler. And so just a day full of that. I did get a little video of one of the pet stores. I started taking video and because the store was empty when I started. But then kind of as soon as I started, several customers came in. And so I didn't want to be that annoying guy, so I kind of stopped. I got some silent footage after that. If I could find a row no one was in, kind of go down and take some footage. I don't know if it's going to be enough to make an impactful video or not. So I'm not sure if that's going to show up on the YouTube channel or not. I have to kind of go over it. But it was cool to see the stores and the wholesaler that we went to visit. And I have to say it made me super proud. Because you know, just walking around pet stores and fish stores and stuff and looking at the health of the fish and being a guy that can look at a tank of fish and kind of more or less automatically understand if they're, not always, sometimes illnesses are hidden, but often you can look at a tank and know that there's an issue there. It made me so happy that we're doing things the way we are. They were able to quarantine fish and get them healthy before we sell them. Because the stores we were going to, not all of them could do that. Not all of them had space for quarantine. And it kind of showed. And so they had a lot of good stuff too. I'm not saying they were bad. And I think mom and pops are important. I think supporting your local brick and mortar is good. Because when you need something immediately and you can't wait for it to come in the mail, they're there for you. Right? Live blackworms, it's hard to get that any other way. You kind of need a mom and pop to get live blackworms on kind of a convenient, regular basis. There's lots of benefits, but it reminded me of back in the day when I was working in the fish industry, and I've worked at pretty much every level of this industry, from stores to distributors to wholesalers and such. And it just reminded me of why I started Dan's Fish, which is I was frustrated with the industry that was selling fish to customers that the customer was not going to be successful with. And so you get that narrative of, yeah, I used to keep fish, but they all died. And that narrative frustrated me so much when I would talk to people that found out I liked fish, came over to my house, saw my fish tanks or whatever, that I would often hear all throughout my life, yeah, I used to keep fish, but they all died. And so in my mind, over the decades, I've been thinking, what would happen if they didn't all die? What would happen if those folks were successful with fish? And what would happen is this hobby would be much bigger. The industry that supports the hobby would be bigger and more advanced because there would be more a thriving industry and more R&D happening and all that stuff. There'd be more innovation and more people would be benefiting from having a little piece of nature in their home. So going back and touring the pet stores and the wholesaler and stuff, it just reminded me of why we're doing what we're doing. It made me feel really good about it and understand how far we've come, because I haven't been back to that world for quite a while. And so going back to it, basically, I came back and told the team about it. And I was like, look, guys, you're doing awesome. Here's what I saw. Here's the state of the industry in general. And here's how far you guys have taken us on our mission. And it just, I thought it was really motivating and pretty cool. So anyway, enough patting myself on the back, but it was cool to see that. Well, it wasn't cool to see that, but it was great to get kind of to realize the difference that we've been able to make so far, because I can see the difference in our fish. As a guy that can look at fish and just kind of tell when something's off. Yeah, anyway, it's just a lot of affirmation on that trip. And then Sunday we went and I gave the talk and hung out for the auction and met with a lot of people, took a lot of pictures, signed some merch, all that stuff. That was super fun. And then we went and saw Stephanie's fish room. And it was such a fun whirlwind that I forgot to take a video. Afterwards I was thinking, oh, I could have gotten a video. Stephanie, you're so funny if you're watching. So Stephanie was like, yeah, come over. It's pretty messy though. Like everything, it's not very clean and all that. And I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to look at the fish. I went there. It was the cleanest place I'd seen. It was so clean and organized and beautiful. And you can't make a whole one tank, let alone a shed of tanks. Her setup's a shed. Look that good in a few minutes, right? It's obvious that she's taking awesome care of her fish long term. So her stuff was amazing. Her Melanitania marisi were the best I've seen. The reds on them were okay. I wonder if I can show you this. Okay, let's look at some pictures and see if this is evident. So this is Melanitania marisi. This is what they look like in my aquariums. My aquariums have light substrate, and because of that, the fish tend to be kind of an orange gold. See these kind of orange gold stripes and orange gold on the fins? Stephanie keeps hers. Come on, resolve. There we go. Stephanie keeps hers in tanks with dark substrate, and the light level is fairly low. And they develop this, like the color of the Amazonas magazine, where it's not like a gold orangish, it's an intense red. And it looks so good. Even in the dim light, they just glowed. And I've never seen them in person looking that good. I thought that was incredible. Yeah, so here's ours, right? It's not an ugly fish by any means. It's a nice fish. But I thought Stephanie's blew ours away. Oh, here's one. Oh, is that picture going to be that small? Yeah. This is the picture. I think I saw a bigger version of it, but this is the picture that I saw when I first was exploring marisi. And then once I got mine, I was like, I don't know if they actually get that red. I think there might be a little photo doctoring going on in that picture. But after seeing Stephanie's, I realized, nope, they can if you keep them. I think that's all we're going to see there. If you keep them on dark substrate and maybe with some dimmed lighting, then they're going to make up the difference. They're going to be comfortable and turn this bright red color. It was absolutely beautiful. It was amazing. Our pick was on fresh white sand, super washed out. Yeah. I mean, rainbows are famous for adjusting their color for their environment. Yeah. So I still think ours look good. That kind of bright gold and yellow orange color, it's pretty. But I prefer Stephanie's. And I think if we took ours and kept them, in fact, I know we would, because I sold Stephanie some a while ago. She still had the original group, and they looked nice and red as well. So it's just how you keep them. They'll adjust their color based on their surroundings and the lighting. So it was really cool to see that. She also has a lot of really neat plecos that she's breeding. So thanks for having us again, Stephanie. It was awesome to see you. Okay, so after that got pretty late. And then after that, went back to the hotel, got up on Monday morning and got ready to head out, right? Went to the airport and left. So that was the trip. I had a blast. Thanks to everyone that came to the event. It was so good to meet you guys. I hope you had a blast as well. And we're going to be doing it again. We're going to be doing it here at the Keystone Clash, September 22nd through 24th in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. So if you're in the area or if you want to travel, I mean, Keystone Clash is a pretty cool event. It's kind of a big thing. It's probably worth traveling for. So check out the Keystone Clash. Let me just, instead of scrolling around and making you guys dizzy, I'll put a link to it right there. I'll be giving the same presentation I gave at Coast to the Keystone Clash, but I'll also be doing a second presentation on building the ultimate fish store, where I go over from inception to completion how we built this fish warehouse here and all the systems and stuff, and show you everything through the whole process. I think that'll be interesting. And if you are thinking of building a fish store someday, I think there'll be useful information. Or if you're just trying to optimize your rack, how do I make it a flow-through system? How do I make it so it doesn't smell like mold in my fish room? How do I? There's lots of things that I think we'll be answering in that presentation. So I think it's going to be hopefully interesting for a lot of people, even if you're not building a fish room or a fish store. And then I'll also be on a panel there discussing rainbow fish. So that might be too much Dan, but you're getting thrice the Dan at the Keystone Clash. So yeah, that's what's going on there. So it was a great trip. Got back really late on Monday because there was a big storm at the Denver airport and there was a grounding event. Basically, they grounded all flights for several hours. And if you've ever been in an airport where they had to ground flights, you know the chaos that ensues. Like, the line to customer service was so long, like down the entire terminal. And that's like Terminal B in Denver is massive. And it was just this super long line, people trying to figure out, okay, well, I missed that flight and I have a connection, so now what do I do? Luckily for me, it did delay my flight, but not till the next day. A lot of people were spending the night in the airport. I was able to get out just a few hours late. So there were people complaining about that, and I was like, hey, you see that line of people there that are going to be spending the night? We're okay, folks. You're okay. So made it home just a little later than normal. Anyway, that's my, I guess, summary of my trip speaking to Coast. I want to thank the Coast Club for hosting me. I want to thank Ross Freeman for taking all the time to drive me around. He was a very gracious host, and I appreciate everyone that opened their fish rooms to us and let us come visit and record in some of them. I didn't record in all of them. Some of them, the lighting isn't right. It wasn't going to show up properly. My camera, I just had my phone with me, and that in low light settings, it doesn't work great. But where we could, we did, except for Stephanie's. We kind of got chatting and looking at stuff and catching fish and stuff, and I straight up forgot, honestly. So that's it. That's what's going on here. Then today, we had to buckle up and ship out a bunch of fish again. So for those that have been waiting, your fish should be there tomorrow. And there's also people that we're just a tiny bit backed up since I was out of town. We've been down a couple people. So Monday, the rest of the fish are going out. So we're in pretty good shape. Sending out a lot of fish, and all but one arrived in good shape since the last 7 days. So that makes me very happy. Okay, let's get to you guys. First, I want to thank my moderators for being here and keeping the chat kosher, should we say? Keeping everybody in line. Yeah, thanks for being here, folks. Really appreciate you volunteering your time to make things run smoothly. Much appreciated. And then, with that, I want to get to your questions and comments. For those that are new and don't know, if you type Dan's Fish or at Dan's Fish or hashtag Dan's Fish, this bright orange box appears in my feed. That's what you're seeing right now. And that's what I look for. I look for a bright orange box, and then that's the comment I read. All these other comments without bright orange boxes, I don't read because I assume that that's just friends chatting among themselves, And I don't want to have a bunch of dead air time on this live stream where I'm just reading everyone looking for one directed at me. So I rely on that shortcut of this bright orange box. So in order to get my attention, make it at dancefish or hashtag dancefish or dancefish, select from the pop-up, and it will turn bright orange for me. And that's what I will be looking for as I scroll through looking for questions and comments to respond to. With that, let's get to it. Spoiled Sushi, who has been a member for a solid year. Spoiled Sushi, thank you. I've enjoyed this whole year being a member, looking forward to many more. Well, thanks for being a member. Not only is it neat knowing that people think there's enough value coming from our channel that they want to support us by that monthly membership, which we very much appreciate, but that monthly membership fee adds up when you get a bunch of people all together to be members, and that helps our business grow. So thank you very, very much. And Kelly Foreman says, can't wait to see everyone at the Clash. I can't either. I love hanging out with fish nerds. Like, you're my peeps. You're my people. I love it. So I can't wait, Kelly Foreman. Clash is going to be off the hook. Is that what they say these days? Lit? I don't know. My day was like gnarly or totally tubular. CS, long-time lurker, first-time customer here. Do you recommend quarantining for fish coming tomorrow? Some rams, loaches, spotted Congo puffers. Yes and no. I'm torn on this. I did a whole, I guess, rant about it at the beginning of the live stream last week, so check that for a full answer. But if you have a quarantine tank setup that is like a cycled, mature tank that has a very healthy nitrifying bacteria colony, is a stable ecosystem, let's go with that, then I think quarantine is just fine. What I'm finding, though, is often the problems that we see when people lose fish from us, not when they arrive, but within a few days of arrival, we try to figure out what's going on and help them solve the problem before we reship or before they place another order if we refunded. Whatever it is, we try to work with them a bit and solve the problem so they can be successful long term. That's our goal. Doing that for this long, we've noticed a trend, which is a large percentage of the people that have problems have just set up a quarantine tank or hospital tank, like very recently, and then put the fish in. So a couple things can happen there. One, if it's very recently, like too recently, the water parameters are not stable yet, and you're putting fish in unstable water, and as those parameters adjust and get to the point where they're kind of settled, the fish is experiencing all those changes, and that's very stressful on the fish. Also, when you set up a brand new quarantine or hospital tank, it's not a bioactive ecosystem, right? There's no ecosystem there. There's no bacteria colonies. There's no balance in that at all. And if you don't know how to manage that, the fish won't do very well. You'll get all kinds of problems, including ammonia and nitrite, but other things as well. And so we've noticed that the vast majority of times when fish arrive and they look good and hale and hearty to a customer, but then a few days later it's like, these are dying, what's going on? The vast majority of the time, once we talk with the customer about what kind of tank did they go in, what's it set up like, how long has it been set up, check your ammonia, ooh, there's ammonia, that kind of thing, that it's because someone set up a quarantine or hospital tank just like immediately. And maybe they took a sponge filter from an existing tank and dumped it in there, or maybe they didn't. But even if they did, that doesn't really mean that brand new ecosystem is stable and mature and not going to have problems. So, but it's good to quarantine if you know how to do it successfully. So that's where I'm torn. I would say, if you don't have a lot of experience quarantining in kind of those sterile type, it's not really sterile, but sterile-ish, non-ecosystem and setups, then I wouldn't do it if you don't have a lot of experience managing that. Or if you, ideally, you have a nice established tank set up and it's all mature, like I said, and you can put the fish in there and observe them for a few weeks and they're good, then move them out. In that case, I would say, yeah, go ahead and quarantine. But if you're putting them in a quarantine or hospital typical setup where it's just bare bones, no ecosystem, we've noticed a lot of problems with that. So that's my thoughts. Yari says, I would love the polar blue parrot cichlids. Well, hopefully you entered the drawing. So far, there are 87 folks who have entered to win. That's not a whole lot, and I didn't think it, you know, this is not a fish for everybody. Its size makes it so some people won't want to keep it. Some people don't like hybrid. Some people just don't want to keep a wet pet cichlid. They'd rather have like a community of small, peaceful fish. Like, I get it. So I'm not real surprised. But what that does mean is that your odds, Yari, if you've entered the giveaway, are pretty good of winning that fish. Xanadu, I think I was the second member. No snide comments. Matt, Rico, Bobbit. Well, Xanadu, thank you so much for your membership as well. I can't believe it's been a year since we started memberships. Whew, that's crazy. Also, Xanadu, thanks for lunch. We were down a person today, and so we had to get all the shipments out with less help than normal. And so to help make that happen, we brought in lunch so we didn't have to, you know, go out. We could just eat while we were there and didn't have to lose as much time. So thank you. Much appreciated. Varanid guy, my female McMasterite ate her first brood. I'm fairly certain they will spawn again. Do you think it would be prudent to separate the female into a more private tank next time they spawn? No, I think it's very normal for apistos, a lot of cichlids in general, a lot of any fish that practices brood care. It's very normal for them to not be successful the first few times. So maybe separating her would be helpful, but if you're doing it while they've already spawned and stuff, I think taking her and the spawn out and moving them to a separate tank, I think that's going to be pretty darn stressful on her. So I would say, I don't know exactly what the setup is, but in general, I would say give them 3 or 4 tries, and they'll probably learn to do it. Something else you can do, though, and what I do when I really want to raise a group of cichlid fry, but I also want the parents to learn to be good parents, is I'll take like a siphon hose, and once those fry are free swimming, I don't know if they got past the egg stage or not, but once they're free swimming, I'll just go in with the siphon hose and remove maybe about half the spawn, and I'll raise those separately for insurance, and then I'll leave the other half with the parents so they get practice raising them. So I still was able to raise some, and the parents got a little practice, but I mean, it's pretty normal for them to eat eggs or fry for the first few spawns. So totally up to you, but if you eventually want them to be raising the fry on their own, I would let them have the practice, for sure. Oh, I don't know why that comment reminded me of this, but I want to update you guys on the mountain grunters. So we have customers that have had some for, I think, over a year now, if not real close to it, and not had any aggression or any problems. But we did have a customer reach out this week and said that theirs went crazy and murdered a bunch of fish in the tank. So I just want to put that out there as an update, that in some setups they appear to be fine, not aggressive, but one customer had a problem. And he mentioned someone else that keeps mountain grunters who he talked to and told us that they also had a problem. Now we're getting that one like third hand or whatever, so I'm not, exactly sure, but it appears that they can maybe be. So when I made the video about the mountain grunters, there had been no reports of aggression or anything. So when I talked in the video about them, that's what I was saying. I was like, they've been fine, and we had them in with rainbow fish, and they'd been fine for, I don't know, many weeks, if not a few months. No problem. So in the video, I talked about that. I was like, well, we've had them in together. There haven't been any problems, et cetera, et cetera. But a customer did reach out and did have some problems. So just want to put that out there in case you're thinking of getting some mountain grunters. And we updated the description to reflect that new information, I believe. Let's see here. Make sure. Oh, maybe we need to update that. Okay, yeah, we'll need to, let me make a note. So this just happened. We'll update, I mean, we don't have any for sale right now, so there's no urgency, but we'll update that description to reflect that. Okay. Only Oscars has been a member for 3 months and says, live long and Oscar. Live long and Oscar. I love it. That's hilarious. That's good. That's good. That's perfect. Mountaintop Puffer Keeper. Oh man, I'm in a year 2. Been 12 months, Matthew. Thank you. It doesn't feel that long. Puffers are all doing well. I'm building out the 270 rack with block and 3/4 inch plywood. That's going to be amazing. Big tanks are awesome. They're just super fun. Super fun. Yari says, you are the best. Well, thank you. I mean, I highly doubt that, but we try to be what we are. No, that sounded just horrible. I'm going to move on. I'll just say stupid stuff all day. Thank you, Yari. I appreciate it. Marcy, SoCal. I really enjoyed your presentation and meeting you at Coast. It was great to meet you, Marcy, as well. It's always awesome to put a face with the name, right? So thanks for coming up and talking to me afterwards. Thanks for taking the time to meet me. Alician, AS. Any new species coming up? Yes, a lot. We've got more, is it CW? I think it's just C123. Yeah, these guys. So we were able to get several of these. And these ones have more yellow than the last batch. I think the last batch is going to get nice yellow too. But these already have some decent yellow on them, which looks really good. We also got more Virginia. These guys, I really like this fish quite a bit. I need to get new pictures. They were kind of hanging out in the back of the tank when I took these, so I didn't get great shots. And several other fish. So we brought in a shipment from South America. Now that we were lucky enough to have a veterinarian in residence here for a few months during the summer, and one thing that they helped us with is really cracking the code on wild cories and wild plecos. These are fish that I've been hesitant to bring in from the wild for quite a while because they do come in with issues, parasites. Like, we've never seen one that didn't have parasites when it came in. And I've been somewhat successful cleaning them up and getting them healthy and selling them, but my track record wasn't good enough that I was confident in doing it more than occasionally, let's say. But I think we figured them out. We've put a few batches through different treatments. With the veterinarian's help, we've been able to examine those fish and see the results of those treatments. And we've been able to develop a protocol which is very effective. So we're more confident now bringing in some neat wild stuff that you just can't. I would love to buy it from a breeder. It's not available. So quite a few fish from South America that are coming up. And I think that's probably Johnny's big project for tomorrow and the next day, get those listed. Which means my big project is going to be trying to get good pictures in a hurry so you don't wait too long to see some of these fish. Is Steenfa here? Hey, Steenfa, good to see you. Hope you're doing well, my friend. One of my favorite bigger rainbow fish is the Dorides rainbow. Yeah, says Yari. Yeah, that's a beautiful one. Those red striations that go horizontally down the body. Beautiful fish, for sure. Scotty the Fish Freak. Too much Dan? Such a thing? I don't know. Ask my employees. I think sometimes they get too much Dan. It can happen. It can happen. Sometimes I want to take a break for myself. Man. It's hard to do. Okay. Scrolling because chat jumped. So if you're listening on the podcast, chat freaked out, and so I'm scrolling to see where I left off, which is right here. Jacob Metzner. Hey Jacob, I hope you're doing really well, my friend. Will you ever bring back clown barbs? Saw some awesome looking ones in one of your old fish room tours. I would like to, but it took me months and months and months to sell that fish. One of the coolest fish out there. So pretty. But it's hard to purchase things as a business when you know they're probably not going to sell. So as a hobbyist, yes, in a heartbeat, I would get clown barbs. As a guy that runs a business and has to actually sell the fish he brings in to stay in business, it's a little scary. So I'm not sure. I like them though. What I liked about them is you would stick your hand in the tank and they all come up and nibble on it and give you like exfoliate you. It's just fun. They were my kids' favorite fish because anytime they're in the fish room, they love it. They go over and stick their hand in the tank, right? And all these barbs, this big cloud of barbs goes up on their hand and just starts kind of nibbling at them. And they would just, just squeal in delight, just glee, that childish glee. Now they're teenagers. I miss the childish glee. Orange cones comments highlight with cones instead of boxes. Yeah, you should make that widget. Artist Lisa Matthews. I'm interested in purchasing black tiger batis. Yes. Do you still only have all males? I mean, pretty much. There might be a female or two in there, but I never sell them as females because oftentimes when you do that, they end up coloring up for the customer later. So subdominant males, sleeper males, if you will, can be very hard to distinguish from females. But there are a few people who have wanted females, and we've done our best, and they have spawned. So every now and then we get lucky, but that group, last time I looked at it, I didn't see any that I thought, oh, that might be a female. So I wouldn't say this batch has any possible females in it. Johnny might know better, but not from what I've seen. Paul Soltero, the BS sessions lasting till the wee hours of the morning are coming fast. Start training. Yeah, that's every fish convention ever, right? Every fish meeting ever. That's so funny. Look at this. Look at how YouTube displayed. Oh, now it moved. Oh, I didn't know this. You put your cursor on an emoji and it tells you winking face, smiling face with hearts. Open book. I never realized that before. Why does it think it needs to do that? Huh. Ilamakwa, are you familiar with carbon variant of Beta smargadina? Saw it for the first time on Facebook recently. Now can't get it out of my head. I've never brought in smargadina. I mean, I've seen pictures of several of the variants. I love them. I think they're awesome. But smargadina is not one that I've ever had in, so I'm not very familiar with it. I mean, I know the general line of like Imbellis and Smargadina and Mahakiensis, or however you say that one. And there's a few others in that grouping as well. But the only ones I've kept, I think, I might be forgetting some, is like wild type Splendens, Beta Imbellis. I don't think I've ever kept Smargadina or Macahiensis. I remember once I ordered, I think it was Imbellis, but it might have been a Smargadina, thinking that they would be the wild type. And what they sent me was a bunch of Plakat Splendens. I was like, great. I was going to put these in a tank together. Now what do I do? So there was a lot of last minute cupping of betas that night. Still remember that shipment. It's like, guys, I ordered a peaceful species. You literally sent me plaquettes. Outside in aquatics. Is the pink belly, pink chin, a good way to determine gender on cribs? Yeah, the pink belly on a female, kind of with the roundedness, like you get a cute little kind of pudgy belly. I would say is a pretty good way to do it. The fins are not as extended on the females. Let's show you. Okay. So here's a pair. So see how she's just more rounded? I mean, he's still got a little pink, but see how much more rounded she is? See how his fins are extended? Oh, no, you don't see it because I'm not showing it. See how his dorsal fin and anal fin are really extended? And hers are not? And once you see it, it becomes real clear. They're just kind of shorter and more compact in general. They also get these very clear spots on the dorsal fins. On the males, those are often less clear, especially as the males mature. Not always, but often. So I don't know if that's helpful, but they just get more rounded, bright pink bellies, and the fins are not as extended. So those two things together, pretty clear that it's a female. Paul Soltero, time flies when you're having fun. And I am having fun. I mean, I'm working hard, don't get me wrong. Ain't nobody here at Dan's Fish that is not working hard. Maybe one day I'll actually get a weekend. Maybe Johnny will too. Wouldn't that be a thing? But we love it. Like, I don't think anyone that works here would trade it for anything else, despite the long hours and stuff. It's just doesn't feel like, I mean, sometimes it feels like work, but in general, I look forward to it. It's enjoyable. Ginger coats. I have polar and platinum. They breed exactly like convicts. Neither is over 3 inches. Cool. All right, good to know. Thank you, Ginger coats. I appreciate the information. Fish out of water. Hi. Well, hello. I have some Murray River rainbows that I bought at around 1 inch in size. The females are up to 2 to 2.5 inches, but the males are only 1 to 1.5 inches. Is the difference in growth normal? No, the males usually get bigger. So are you sure you don't have that wrong? Are you sure what you think is female isn't a male and vice versa? Because generally, the males get bigger than the females. So, yeah, I don't know. Head scratcher, that one. Mountain Greenery says hi. Well, hello. Hello, hello. Johnny says, oops, I added a note talking about the grunters, but must not have hit the update profile on the grunter page. Yeah, I know. If I had a nickel for every time I've done that. Hey, Aquatic Moose, good to see you. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Jesper69, hey, when will you have red Dumbo-eared guppy for sale on your site? I think soon. I think we'll have more of the platinum red Dumbo-eared guppies on sale pretty soon. The batch came in, so this is our 3rd or 4th group from the same breeder. All the other groups have come in and been like pretty solid. This one came in, was solid, we were about to sell them, and then we started having a few died. And so we were like, whoa, hold the phone, what's going on? And so we just have not sold them. We've been waiting to make sure that there are no additional issues before we sell them. So I'm gonna have to check in on the logs to see when the last issue was, but I've been keeping an eye on that tank because that's my favorite guppy of all time. They're just awesome. And I've been keeping my eye on that tank. And it's been a long time since I've seen any that didn't look healthy. You know how when a guppy's feeling sick, you kind of see the struggle? It's been a long time since I've seen that. So I think we're okay, but I'm going to have to check the logs. But that could be one that goes up this week. Let's see here. Chat jumps, so I'm just, there we go. Got you, Christopher Junkin. I'm loving the reticulated Siamese algae eaters. Best algae eater by far. Oh, I'm glad you like them. Yeah, very fun. And I like kind of the yellow in the fins they get as well. Glad that you like them. David, oh, I think that's the one we're selling is the spot tail algae eater. Is that right? Yeah. So I think we're talking about this one. You can call it the reticulated, reticulatus, or the spot tail because it's got this spot down here. But yeah, these guys, for an algae eater, they're not bad looking. I wouldn't say they're like beautiful, bright colors or anything, but I would say they're rather handsome. Whereas your traditional Siamese algae eater, I like them, I respect them, but let's face it, they're a little bit drab, right? They do a good job, but they're a little bit drab. Jerry Serple Morris, hey Jerry, good to see you again. Hey, have you met anyone successful at breeding banjo catfish? I'm sure banjo catfish have been bred, but off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone specifically that's done that. Have I read articles on that? I can't remember for sure, Jerry. I don't know. I'd be surprised if they hadn't been bred, though. Miss Plummer's Tub. We have about 15 CPDs, Celestial Pearl Danios, for those that are wondering what CPD might be. They're in a 10-gallon planted tank, and they never come to the front. Are they just that shy? So, two things that I've noticed with CPDs. One, large groups generally equals not shy. And I don't know if 15 is a large enough group to see that or not. But every time we get CPDs, we notice the same pattern. We get a couple hundred at a time. We'll put like a couple hundred in a 40-gallon breeder. We have flow-through systems, so we can manage all that. It's fine. They're all out and about. Within a week, they've learned that we mean food, and they're out there begging for food. And then as we sell them, gradually, those numbers decrease. And when we get down to, 50 or so, something like that, maybe 75, suddenly, they don't come up front anymore. They're shy and they're in back. The best thing we found to solve that was ditherfish. And one of the ones that worked really well for us was Java rice fish. So we had a tank of CPDs, we had a tank of Java rice fish. We'd sold down each group and we needed to free up some tank space. So we took those Java rice fish, we put them in with the CPDs, and they had been hiding for a while because their numbers were down. Next day, CPDs were out and not shy again. So I think finding them some kind of dither, a confident fish that doesn't outcompete them. Rice fish worked really well for us. Might be a trick. So that's my observations with that fish. Mountain Greenery. What are your favorite rainbow fish that you have in stock right now? Let's see. Let's go over the list, shall we? Rainbow. Oh, I think I could do this better by going to home and clicking the rainbow option. There we go. Are we counting pseudomugils? Okay, so these ones down here are out of stock. So let's see here. Of all these, if it was a pseudomugil, it would be Friccata. Just because this is the first pseudomugil I had success breeding, so in keeping, so I've got nostalgic reasons for really liking that fish. One day we'll get a better picture. So I like those a lot. If it's a rainbow fish, I do really like threadfin rainbows too. A massive group of those all displaying. They're as pretty as hummingbirds, flicking their fins real quick, quivering, extended finnage. That's a sight to behold. And then if it's a regular rainbow fish that we currently have, I really like the Sexlineata taboo bills. Bright gold color, really, really pretty. But I think I would have to go with the Calliowallum. These are an unusual fish. They get a bright blue coloration. This is a juvenile, no color yet. Yeah, these are mostly juveniles, I think. Yeah, but they get a lot of blue on them, and they're... Oh, am I not showing any of these? Oh, sorry, bad at my job, folks. This is the Calliowallum. I think that's the one I go with for full-sized rainbow fish. Although I do also really like the Sexlineata taboobill here. And then for pseudomugils, or small little blue-eye types, I would probably go with Fricata. Although a close runner-up would be threadfins. I mean, threadfins are so hard to beat. Yeah. So that's my thoughts. And sorry if I wasn't showing that the whole time. Sometimes I forget to push the button. I'm sure when I get to that section of the chat, there'll be all kinds of like, we can't see it. You guys keep me on track. Thank you. Ginger says, I'm super excited to get those paradise fish tomorrow. Zhao Queen, I think is how you say that. Ginger, let me know what you think when you get them. But, well, let me know what you think about a week after you get them when they've colored up again. In our tanks, they're fully colored, but I'm pretty sure they're going to color down, you know, being in the bag and being transported to you. But I'm excited for you to get them too. They're amazing. And by the way, these pictures are not lying. They're every bit as colorful than this. In fact, I tried and tried to get the red on the back. You kind of see it a little bit there. You don't see it there. I took this picture just because I thought it was cute the way they were, or I included this picture because I thought it was cute. You see it a little bit there. Let's see here. Kind of get it there. I think that's the best. But this is not, it turns like it turns a dark orange or red, depending on what you call that. And here you're just getting a hint of it. So I actually think they're better in person than I was able to capture on camera. They're gorgeous. You're going to love them, Ginger. And I can't wait to hear your feedback. But, you know, give it a week, maybe two, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be thrilled. Her 209. That is probably for accessibility purposes. Oh, that made so much sense 20 minutes ago, I'm sure, but I'm so far behind in the chat that I'm not quite sure what that was referring to, but I'm going to agree, yes. W. Marion. Oh, is that what Her209 is talking about? The emojis? Yeah, but like, if you can see the emoji, if you can read the description, couldn't you also see the emoji? I guess maybe some color blindnesses might need accessibility. I'm not sure. It labels emojis for people with vision disabilities. They can't read emojis unless labeled with words. I guess I'm not that familiar with vision disabilities. Like I said, I think if you could see the letters, you could also see the emoji, but obviously there's something there I don't know. That must be new though, because I don't remember, or fairly new, I don't remember ever like seeing text pop up when my cursor hit emojis before, so that's a new thing. Lizzie LaBelle, funny thing, I just bought a tree of those polar blue parrots and I absolutely love them. A little nippy, but have mine in with a school of serpent tetras and the tank looks great. I'm glad you like yours and I'm glad to hear they're doing well. And yeah, anything with, I mean, when I say I think they're peaceful, I'm saying, everything's relative, right? So I'm saying for a cichlid, they're quite peaceful. I keep jumping in and out because my internet, but I really appreciate you answering. I'll get the answer in replay. You are awesome. Okay, yeah. Well, thanks for coming back in. I know what it's like to have unsteady internet. I remember the days of dial-up. Yep. Good times back in the day. Okay, I need to wet my whistle. Just a second. Ah, if you're listening on the podcast, that's the sound of me getting a huge drink. Okay. Chris Ladd, that new paradise fish of yours looks nice. Need to figure out what else to put in the box. They are nice. And there's some other species of paradise fish out there too that I would love to bring in. We'll see. It's difficult. They're not part of the normal supply chain, so you kind of have to hunt and figure and do things out of system, if you will, to make it happen. But then you see a fish like that and it's like, oh yeah, that was worth it. Miguel Leon, would you ever consider selling dwarf crayfish? Yes, I like them, and I would. It's going to take some work, though, because in order to sell crayfish, I have to clear some things with my local Fish and Wildlife, Game and Fish officers. And so that's going to take some paperwork and things. But yeah, I would consider it. Also, I think ideally to do a lot of species of crayfish, you want one per tank. So you almost need like a better rack type system with flow through and all that. And I just don't have that built. So before I did crayfish, I'd probably want to build a system like that. I'm not saying all crayfish need to be individual, but enough, I would feel more comfortable doing it that way because enough of them can fight and things that I would want to keep them separately. Like one crayfish per tank, if you will. So I don't have a system like that built. And I don't have the proper permitting for it either. Big Shrimpin', Steve C. Do you think you'll get any honey blue eyes ever again? Oh, yes. I don't know when. I know a guy, and I bought all he had last time I brought them in, and I think we ended up with like 5 pairs or 5 trios. Like, it's a fish that is not in big numbers. But yes, I do hope to bring more in. I would also like to bring in reticulatus again. Pseudomugil reticulatus. Haven't seen that one since last time I brought it in, which was, I don't know, over 2 years ago, something like that. I hope whoever bought them was able to breed them. Reticulatus is amazing. Ryan Fish Adventures. Working on breeding banjos. Okay, cool. Banjo catfish. But it's only been 6 months, so I will follow up. They're nice to look at when they aren't buried in the sand. Yeah, yeah. Ryan, is there any literature that you have come across about people documenting their breeding experience with that fish? I would think it's probably been bred, but I don't know for sure. Okay, Yari, I've always wanted to keep elephant nose fish, but heard they are pretty delicate, sensitive. I'm pretty experienced, but still lost to learn. What advice do you have on keeping them? So keeping them, I don't think is an issue. Obtaining healthy ones, like helping them recover from the supply chain, I think is the issue. When I was growing up, my fish godfather had a 360-gallon and had a whole bunch of elephant nose in it. Some Peter's eye, some Bollingers in it, which were really cool. And so I grew up taking care of elephant nose. I think if you get healthy ones, they're actually rather hardy fish. The problem is they're not treated right in the supply chain. So by the time they get to a store, they've been through the ringer. And that's the issue with that fish. Now, as far as keeping them, have plenty of hides, have plenty of space. I would get a big group of them. Do I describe them as gregarious? They queue off of each other. And if you're a mammarid and you're out in the world and you're sending off your signals, they communicate through electrical pulses. And if you're sending out your signals and no one's responding, that freaks you out. Because usually there's all kinds of chatter in the mammarid community. So I would definitely recommend getting a good sized group of them so they don't find themselves alone. No one's responding. Oh crap, what's going on? What's the danger? Who ate them? Why am I alone? Right? You don't want to give them that experience. So that's the main thing I would say, besides just lots of hides, active setup. They're a curious fish. They like to explore. They like to look at nooks and crannies and things. I also think you're going to have trouble. they're all going to be collected from the wild. No one's that I know of is breeding them in any quantity. I could be wrong about that, but well, okay, maybe like the massive like dolphin mammirids or double trunk mammirids and stuff, but the small ones that are manageable, the baby whale types or the Peter's eye types, those I don't know of anyone that's breeding them. And I've never, usually they're going to need frozen foods, bloodworms, frozen brine shrimp, maybe some mysis shrimp, live foods. And it's going to take a while to get them to eat any kind of prepared foods. Eventually you can, but it takes a long time. So I would be prepared to be patient with frozen and live foods. But that's my thoughts on them. They're amazing. It's just, I don't think it's that they're delicate. I think it's that they're not treated properly in the supply chain. Emperor of Tang. When do you think you'll get more pygmy cories, and are they compatible with apistogramma? Yes, pygmy cories and apistogramma are compatible. I suppose there might be some like apistogramma that get big enough that they might try to eat a pygmy cory, like a gigantum or whatever that big apisto is. But in general, I think you're okay, especially if it's a full-size pygmy cory with your apistos. I think you'll probably be okay. And yes, we have more pygmy cories right now. They should be through quarantine, and if they aren't listed yet, they should be listed in the next couple days. A batch that's doing awesome. Oh yeah, we're down to 3 on the website. Yeah, we definitely need to add more pygmy cories because we do have more that are through quarantine. In fact, if Johnny's listening, he might be able to do that right now and message you in Pertang if that happens. Rich Reynolds, I got some threadfin rainbows from you. I was able to get fry and fed them vinegar eels and ceramicron. None survived. I had them in RO water. Any advice? I mean, the ones I raised, I used really fine golden pearls, like 5 to 50 microns. Ceramicron's probably just as good. And they had access to like infusoria and things as well. I didn't use vinegar eels. I think vinegar eels might be a little too big for brand new thread fins. I did not keep them in RO. I just kept them in standard tank water. But it sounds like you did it right with the ceramicron and vinegar eels. The thing is, when you're feeding vinegar eels, you're feeding all sizes, right? So the adult vinegar eels might be too big, but there's going to be babies and juveniles and stuff in that vinegar eel cocktail. So they'll be able to eat some of them. So maybe once they hatch, try them without RO water. And the main thing is keep the food in front of them without fouling the water, right? You know this, I'm sure, but maybe more water changes. And when you change the water, it should be like stable, gassed off water. The parameters in this water have already shifted to stability, so they're not going to transition while the fry are in there. That's the best thing I think you can use. Clean water that hasn't been in an aquarium, but that is stable and to temperature. However, if that's not a possibility, aquarium water is a good second choice. But it sounds like you did the right thing. Ceramicron on the surface. If you can add infusoria to it, that might be helpful. But it sounds like you did pretty good. Yeah, did it about right. I have no idea why they wouldn't survive. Yeah, unless either there wasn't enough food in front of them and they starved, or there weren't enough water changes and the water got fouled. I mean, that's kind of the two things that I can think of. Screen readers read the alternate text. Yeah, okay. Oh, screen readers, machines. I see what you're saying. I thought you meant people that are like, I get it. That makes sense. So there's technology that helps people that can't see it. Oh, good to know. That makes sense to me. Okay, scrolling up because chat jumped. Well, chat really jumped. Just a sec, guys, trying to find where I was. Almost there. Almost there. Okay, here we are. Are Asian golden clams illegal to sell? I don't see them for sale anywhere anymore. I don't know. I haven't looked into clams for a long time. They used to be legal. I have no clue if they'd become illegal or not. Mountain Greenery, what is your stance on panda cories? Well, I try not to stand on panda cories. I'd squish the poor little buggers. Is there a controversy on panda cories? Do I need to take a stance? I mean, I think they're lovely little, cute little fish. Yeah, we have lots of them. The Biker Aquarist, thanks for adding the diamond head neons. I was the one who asked a few weeks ago. Yep, it's your fault. But I'm glad we did, because that group is doing well for us, and they are a neat little fish, and people are actually buying them. So it was worth bringing it. So thank you. Poop nuggets? Like, is your middle name Dingleberries? I have a group of dwarf red-tail eels, and one is being very aggressive. Really? The biggest one, and I don't know why. Any ideas? Do you have lots of hides in there? Is there not enough hiding places, and so the biggest one is like taking it over and keeping the others away? That's a possibility. I've never seen that fish or any of the eels of that genus, the similar eel species, be aggressive to each other any more than like the occasional posturing or something. But we generally keep tons of hides, pipes, or what have you in the tank. It's really nice when like half the tank bottom is choked with Java moss, because then they can each get in there and make their own area. So that's my only thought. Has anyone else had that experience with the dwarf red-tailed eels? That's my first hint that there might be any aggression whatsoever with that fish. Fishaholic, hi! Have a goldfish upside down, still alive and struggling, fighting for 2 weeks. Ooh. I don't know if it's swim bladder or dropsy. Any suggestions? I'm giving him boiled sweet peas for diet, thanks. Fishaholic, I'd like to help you, but I can't. I mean, there could be so many things I wouldn't know how to steer you. I hope things go okay. And I know almost nothing about goldfish too. It's just not a fish that I have much experience with. So I'm gonna have to tell you, anything I told you would just be random thoughts that are uneducated. So I can't help with that. I'm sorry, I wish I could. And best of luck to your fish. Ilum Aqua, have you ever, or maybe plan in the future, to have a sale for the tiny Indonesian super dwarf fish? To have for sale. What is that? Okay, I don't know this fish. I don't know how to say this fish, but I do know how to Google this fish. And I might even remember to share my screen. Let's see here. What is, so this is, oh, I do know this fish. Never kept it, but I do know it. I mean, as in I've heard of it and I've read a little bit of information about it. World's smallest vertebrae. See, what's the common name for this? Do they call him Dracula or vampire fish, or am I confusing that with another one? There might not be a common name, but no, that's one that I've never seen listed for sale. I mean, if I ever did, I might try it just because I'd be intrigued, but I haven't ever seen it available. Emperor of Tang, what was your method to breed Pseudomugil fricatus? I bred them just like killifish or any other, or Melanotania. Bare tank, sponge filter, big mop. Lots of food. Constant water change. Not constant, actually. That was down in my basement. That was the first iteration of that fish room. So at that time, I do 50% water changes probably every week. I had like a valve I could turn. It would drain the tank 50%, turn the valve, and then I had a pump in a big water reservoir I'd put on, and a hose attached to the pump. I'd put that on, fill it up. I think I did that once or twice a week. And yeah, so I just bred them with moss, just like I would like Fundulopantrax gardneri or any other egg-laying killifish that's a non-annual, or not an annual, or like I would breed any other rainbow fish. They were really easy, and the eggs were tough. The eggs are very big for that size fish, and so the babies newly hatched can eat baby brine shrimp right away. They're a lot bigger than threadfin rainbow babies, so they're easier to raise. Emperor of Tang, what was, oh, I already got that one. Then we are on Varanid guy. These epistles are courting and spawning in really hard tap water. I mean, 600 plus TDS. If they spawn in it, should that be good enough for the babies as well? It's very clean tap water, just hard. I don't know. There are some soft water species that I've spawned in hard water without any problems. And then there are some soft water species that I think really do benefit on the breeding side and fertility side from soft water. This is not one I've raised in either hard water or soft water, so I really don't know, Varanid guy. You can tell pretty easily, though, if the eggs are infertile. If they bred and then the next day all the eggs are like milky white, then they were not fertile. But if they weren't, if they were like clear or maybe an amber color, something besides milky white, then they were probably fertile, and so then it's probably not a fertility issue with the water. I support my local panda quarries, and I'm unanimous in that. That's Paul Soltero's stance. One more, and then we're going to do a giveaway. Dilamo says, I can attest to these eels being non-territorial. I bought like 12 from Dancefish. They're amazing together in their 150-gallon tank. So that's Dilamos' experience. Anyone else? The reason I ask is the same species of fish, the same batch of fish, if you take that and put some in one tank, some in a different tank, some in a different environment, you can get totally different behaviors. I've seen this with lots of species. So it's definitely possible that the way Dilamos keeps them in a group of 12 in a big tank, that they're totally fine, but in another setup, they might show aggression. Like I've seen fish act very differently based on the environment they're in, for sure. Let's see, is anyone else? I should start carrying Kangaroo? Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. I don't want that problem. Our eels are the opposite of territorial. Yeah, there's tons of pipes, and you'll find them crammed into one. That's true. Yeah, ours seem to be quite gregarious. So I'm scrolling just to see if anyone else has anything to... Because if more people are having aggression issues with the eels, I want to know. Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone else has chimed in on that. Okay. Very good. Let's do a little giveaway, shall we? This is for some blue polar paracichlids. I already forgot. These guys and a small group of them, as many as we can fit in a small box. I'm guessing we'd send you maybe like 3 or something like that. And the winner is, see, there are 126 folks that have entered, and Nick Everett has won. Hey, Nick, congratulations. You've won some polar blue parrot cichlids. You have 2 minutes to chime in. Let us know that you're here. I'm going to set a Google timer for that right now. Google timer. Timer. And as long as you've chimed in chat within those 2 minutes, you'll be the official winner. If not, you forfeit your winnings and we will draw somebody else. Wah ha ha ha. Ginger Grace says, my eels are doing fine, no aggression issues. Cool. Let's see if other folks, while we're waiting for the winner to chime in and claim their winnings, let's see what other folks have said. Veranda guy, the eggs stayed amber for 3 days. Yeah, they were fertile then, so I think you're probably okay in that. I mean, I've heard, I've never read any studies to back this up. So this could just be folks talking. You know how we talk in this hobby. We put out a lot of misinformation. But I've heard people say that calcium carbonate hardness basically can glob onto the eggs and make them hard and make it difficult for the fry to hatch. So I don't know if it's possible that I don't know if that happens. And I don't know if that did happen, but if that did happen, soft water might cure that. So obviously they were fertile because they stayed amber for 3 days. But around 3 days, you'd probably expect them to hatch. So I wonder if maybe they had difficulty hatching. I mean, the timing makes it seem like maybe. So, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Nick has not chimed in, but has 27 more seconds. So we will get to another comment. While we are waiting, Mark Figueroa, in your experience, does keeping native fish to very soft water and harder water negatively impact health and longevity? Fish native to, not native fish. Does keeping fish native to very soft water and harder water negatively impact health and longevity? No. I think that in general, the hardness of the water, because that's full of like salts and electrolytes and minerals and things, I actually think that's easier for a fish to live in. That being said, here's where it might affect the longevity. It's not a direct thing, but secondarily, their longevity might be impacted because they're gonna experience pathogens in hard water that don't exist in soft acidic environments. So if the fish is not quarantined properly and not properly adjusted to hard water, and it's super stressed because it just traveled to your place or whatever, then you might have a problem. Because a stressed fish has a stressed immune system. Its immune system is not firing on all cylinders because it's stressed. And so that makes it harder for it to fight off these new pathogens it's never experienced in a soft acidic environment. And it's suddenly put in hard water with a whole different range of pathogens, right? So I don't think the water itself can be an issue, but if they're not carefully adjusted, I think the hardness, the pathogens in the harder water can be an issue. So that's my thoughts on that. But we keep a lot of soft black water species here, and we keep them in very hard alkaline water. Nick Everett did not chime in, and time is up. Look at that. Okay, so Nick has forfeited their winnings. I just want to make sure that, I'm going to scroll to the bottom. Let's make sure Nick did not chime in, because sometimes I miss it. Sometimes it doesn't show up on the chat and Nightbot, and I don't want to do that to Nick Everett if they did chime in. Okay, nope. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so we're going to draw someone else. Todd Geis. Todd Geis, you have now won, and now you have 2 minutes to chime in and claim your winnings. All you have to do to claim your winnings is type something in the chat. Anything at all. But you do have to be present to win, and we know you're present when you type something in the chat. Okay, while we're waiting for Todd to claim their winnings, we're going to go up here to another comment. Got to shout out your Nanochromis parilis. They're beautiful, huh? Blue Congo dwarf cichlid, breeding for me this week. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I hope you raise tons of fry and have a great time with them. Glad to hear it, fish folk. I'm glad they're doing well for you. All right, there we go. Todd Geis is here. Congratulations, Todd. Oh, there we go. Congratulations. Thanks for participating. We just need your first name, your last name, and your shipping address sent to hello@dancefish.com. That's HELLO@dancefish.com. Email that to us so we can know who we're sending them to, the address you want them at, and arrange a shipping date for you, and we will send those on. So that will conclude our live stream. I want to thank my moderators for being here and helping keep the chats running smoothly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank the members of the channel. Thanks for being a member of the Fishmonger crew. I can't believe it's been long enough that some of you have been members for a year. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wowzer. Anyone that threw money at us, thanks for the super chats. We greatly appreciate it. Always appreciated, never required. But we are a little startup company. We're still scaling, and every little bit helps. So thank you. Everyone that was lively in the chat, thanks for participating. Everyone that wasn't lively in the chat, hail the Lurker Nation. I hear ya. Everyone watching on the replay, hello from the past. And last but not least, if you are listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. With that, we're going to sign off. We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I sincerely hope you have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.